So hi, I'm Sheila. I'm from the Philippines and I'm the current national coordinator of Alternative Law Groups. So empowering communities since 1989. Next week it's actually our 35th anniversary. So we're a very old organization. The organization is old, not me. So basically, alternative lawyering or alternative law groups was established 1989. It was an informal network of organizations. It came after, you all know the picture, after the reign of our former dictator President Marcos, and now our current, sorry, we're on YouTube. So now our current president is the son of the former president. So after the 1986 revolution, group of lawyers talked about working together, collaborating, and focusing on sectoral issues, because during that time, civil political issues was basically the main focus of most of the lawyers, or public interest lawyering. And then they wanted to focus on sectoral issues like the farmers, fisher folks, indigenous people's rights, women, children. So basically that's when ALG was established. So now, currently, we are 20 organizations, 20 NGOs, organizations collectively working as a network. But basically, we're adhering and practicing alternative lawyering, or what we call developmental law. So basically, our work, it has a dual role, but the main focus of our work is legal empowerment. So basically, it talks about how the community should know the law, use the law, and then be able to shape the law. But ALG's dual work is not only teaching people, communities, grassroots communities about the law. Its dual role is also empowering communities, grassroots communities, and I added identities. For example, the LGBTQIA+ community. So it's empowering them by teaching them the law and teaching them how to use the law, and eventually be able to participate in shaping the law. That's how we do our second role in terms of effecting justice system reforms. So that's basically alternative lawyering or alternative law groups. Since yesterday and today, people are asking me what my work is, so this is the explanation. But basically, since we're a coalition, we're relatively a 35-year-old organization, I'm going to focus on three aspects. Because my presentation would focus on how we work as civil society organization, as a network with other organizations, and as a collective NGO coalition. So I'm going to focus on strategic litigation. That's one of our key legal empowerment approach. And the other one is policy reform, and then advancement of developmental lawyering or alternative lawyering in the Philippines. Still okay? So when it comes to strategic litigation, one of our basically main achievement is the setting up of the Defense or Environmental Defense Program. Now it's not environmental defense anymore. It's basically developed into different forms of defense program. It's a litigation fund that was established because the context in the Philippines is litigation is very costly. Aside from it being very costly, there are very few lawyers that actually handle cases specific to the sectors that we work with. Some people would call us public interest lawyering, some would call us non-traditional lawyering, but basically, based on my explanation, it's developmental law and alternative lawyering. So alternative lawyering is not just lawyering for the poor. Okay, it requires you to actually do empowering of the communities. But basically, since litigation is very costly, we try to set up a fund that can be accessed not only by ALG, but other organizations to support their litigation, especially for the communities or the sectors that we work with. So it started in 2008. So ALG is managing the funds for the In Defense program. Now it has evolved. We also have Human Rights Defense Program, Currently, we have the Just Energy Transition Litigation Fund. But basically, it's the same process and same system to support litigation, strategic litigation of communities and other civil society organizations. But it's not easy. Trying to look for funds to support these cases is not really easy because most of the funding agencies have their own focus, so they also have specific cases that they want to support. So far, since it was started, we have supported more than 50 legal cases, case build-up, not only on environmental protection issues and defending the environmental human rights defenders. We're also struggling actually in terms of cases against human rights defenders. So when you try to protect the environment, the community, companies, and even the state would file case against you. We call it SLAP, or Strategic Litigation Against Public Participation. So that's another issue that we're trying to face right now. And one classic example of that, or one story of that experiences SLAP suit is this person. She's an environmental activist. Libel case was filed against her. She was trying to fight against a mining company in her province, and then she was interviewed in a TV show, a very popular TV show. And then she tried to, she was asked a question, and then she answered that blah, blah, blah. Health issues were happening in her province because of the mining company. And then a libel case was filed against her. Not only one, but I think 4 or 2. So through the Environmental Litigation Fund and the Human Rights Defenders Fund, we were able to support the litigation case against Marilu. Okay, so a member organization of ALG represented her in this case. And after 4 years of going back and forth, because she's from the province and the case is filed in Metro Manila, and she has to fly in to Metro Manila, but she won the case. So all the cases against her were dismissed. So this is a classic example of, we do strategic litigation, but we also try to defend cases against our human rights defenders in the community that we work with. It's a reality. Aside from the strategic litigation, Marilu is also considered as, we like acronyms like this, WE defenders, Women Environmental Defenders. In the Philippines, we have to highlight and strengthen the role of women in terms of environmental protection, because still it is seen as the role of men to protect the environment, but actually most women are doing the protection in the environment. So she's also part of this, and she's a paralegal. I don't know if you've heard of the term paralegal, but we train them on remedies, laws, and legal processes so they can be frontliners in terms of issues that are happening in their community, and they'll be able to protect themselves also. Another, of course, major strategic litigation that we did, I'm here, somewhere here, there, in the middle. So this is a case we filed at the Supreme Court. So this is a petition against the constitutionality of the Anti-Terrorism Act. Okay, so there was a law that was passed. So we were wearing face masks because this was just 2021. So it was just after the pandemic. So the law actually, the provision or the definition of the law in terms of anti-terrorism includes being activist. So, oops, the definition, it's unconstitutional. Is it a win? The decision of the court was not, we're not happy because it did not declare the law as unconstitutional, but some part of the definition was striked out. But is it a win? Yes, because 37 petitioners actually filed a case against the Constitution, questioning the constitutionality of the law. So I think in terms of the role of civil society organization, this was a win for us, not only for ALG, but the other organizations also. So, sorry, I was sleeping when I did this. Policy reform, okay? You can just imagine. Okay, so in terms of policy reform, ALG is also part of a Green Bills network. Okay, basically we're advocating for 4 priority bills that talks about mining, that talks about forest protection, and that talks about the rights of indigenous people and the Land Use Act. So basically, in terms of working with other organizations, convening, ALG is convening din, but we are working with other networks also. And that's very important when you want to have an impact and strength in terms of your strategy, especially in policy reform. Okay, because I only have 1 minute. And one critical role in terms of our work is advancing developmental lawyering. Our practice is not mainstream. They're asking, why is it alternative? It should be the type of lawyering that we're doing. But unfortunately, it is alternative lawyering because the traditional lawyering is doing litigation, going to courts, and being part of a law firm or the government. But we're trying to advance and mainstream our role as alternative lawyers or developmental lawyers. One is through fellowship program. So these good-looking young people, not so young, some of them, they're part of one of our program for fellows. They're the Just Energy Transition fellows. So they're focusing, we're building expertise. They're volunteer lawyers. They're not part of the organization, but they're volunteering to do free time in working on just energy transition cases. So this is part of their work. They're educating the community in terms of just energy transition. And another one in terms of making sure that we are mainstream, this one, and I'm also in the middle. So basically, we've done work with the Supreme Court, and we're lobbying, the Supreme Court is planning to come up with a rule to support alternative law groups or groups like us. So cost, expenses, and we will be able to handle more cases because lawyers will be able to support lawyers to do the work of alternative lawyering. So hopefully next time we see each other, this is already a reality for us. But for now, the fact that Supreme Court is talking about what we're doing, that's already a win for us. So I think that's it. Salamat. Salamat is Tagalog in the Philippines.